Berlin, 1933. Germany is bankrupt. 6 million people have no work. The gold reserves are gone. Foreign banks have shut the door. On paper, the government cannot afford to feed its people. And yet, somewhere outside Berlin, a factory receives an order. Tanks. Not a request, not a proposal, an order with a delivery date. The factory manager reads it twice, then asks the only question that matters. Who is paying for this? No one can answer him, because the money doesn't exist, and that's exactly the point. This is the story of how a bankrupt nation built the most expensive military machine on Earth, without spending a single real mark. Not through conquest, not yet. Not through foreign loans, not through gold. Through an invention so dangerous it would eventually destroy the very people it was supposed to protect. Here's how it worked. The answer begins with one man, Hjalmar Schacht. He was not a fanatic, not a party member in his heart. He was a banker, an economist, a financial engineer who had already saved Germany once before, during the hyperinflation crisis of the 1920s, when a loaf of bread cost 4 billion marks and people burned banknotes for warmth because the paper was worth more as fuel than as currency. Schacht had ended that nightmare. He knew how money worked. More importantly, he knew how to make money appear to work when it didn't. In 1933, Hitler made him president of the Reichsbank. Soon after, Minister of Economics. Schacht understood the problem immediately. Germany needed to rearm, secretly, massively, and fast. Printing currency would trigger inflation. Open borrowing would alert foreign governments. Both would stop rearmament before it began. So he built a system designed not to create wealth, but to delay reality. A financial structure that worked only as long as no one looked too closely, and only as long as Germany never stopped expanding. In 1934, Schacht created a company called MEFO. On paper, it looked harmless, a private industrial research firm, Metallurgische Forschungsgesellschaft. In reality, MEFO had no workers, no products, no real capital. It existed for one single purpose. When the German military ordered weapons, it didn't pay manufacturers directly. Instead, MEFO issued a bill, an IOU. The bill promised interest. It was guaranteed by the Reichsbank, and it could be exchanged for cash at any German bank. To the manufacturer, it looked real. To the public, it was invisible, because technically the government never spent the money. MEFO was not a company, it was a mask. But masks have a problem. They slip. Those bills had due dates. Eventually, someone had to actually pay. So the government didn't pay, it postponed. Bills were rolled over, deadlines were erased, new bills covered old ones. By 1936, half of Germany's entire rearmament, 12 billion Reichsmarks, was financed this way, with promises, written on paper that would never be honored. This wasn't borrowing, this was stealing from the future. But that's the government's side of the story. Now look at it from the other side, the side no one talks about. A clerk in Munich, a shopkeeper in Hamburg, a factory worker in Essen who puts a few marks aside every month. His bank book still shows numbers, his savings still grow. But something is changing around him. First, imports disappear. Luxury goods, coffee, foreign textiles, then everyday items follow. The shelves get emptier, not dramatically, just slowly, month by month. And here's the trap. If you can't spend your money, it stays in the bank. And once it's in the bank, the state can reach it. Quietly, without announcements, without debate, banks are ordered to buy government bonds. Insurance companies are required to invest in state debt. Pension funds follow. The saver never sees the money leave. The numbers in his bank book don't change. But the money is already gone. It's paying for tanks he'll never drive, for guns he'll never hold, for a war he didn't choose. He goes to work, he eats dinner, he checks his bank book. Everything looks normal. Everything is a lie. And it doesn't stop with ordinary people. Businesses come next. Corporate dividends are capped. Anything above the limit must be reinvested or handed directly to the state. Successful companies no longer control their own profits. The surplus flows straight into rearmament. Private success becomes state fuel. But Germany still needs what it can't produce: oil, iron ore, copper, rubber, and it has no real money to buy them. So it invents another kind, the ASCII mark, a special currency paid to foreign exporters. It looks like money, it acts like money, but it can never leave Germany. It can only be spent on German goods. On paper, trade continues normally. In reality, Germany is running up a tab it will never pay. By 1939, foreign partners are owed tens of billions in currency they can't use, can't exchange, and can't redeem. This wasn't trade. It was a locked door disguised as an open one, and then the one man who understood the entire system better than anyone turned against it. By 1939, Schacht sees the numbers no one else wants to see. The first MEFO bills are coming due. Every one of them had a 5-year expiration date. The first wave was issued in 1934. 1934 plus 5 equals 1939. The reserves are empty. Inflation is starting to leak through the cracks. Schacht goes to Hitler, personally. His message is blunt: slow down, or the system collapses. Hitler listens, then fires him. With Schacht gone, the last safety valve is removed. But here is the part most people miss. The bills didn't disappear because Schacht was gone. They were still coming due. Germany still couldn't pay. The system needed new money, real money, from somewhere. And there was only one place left to find it: other countries. Austria was annexed in March 1938. Within days, German trucks rolled up to the Austrian National Bank. The gold reserves, 78 tons, were loaded and shipped to Berlin. Overnight, Germany's foreign currency reserves doubled. It wasn't enough. Czechoslovakia followed 6 months later. Not just gold this time, factories. The Škoda Works, one of the largest arms manufacturers in Europe, now produced for Germany. Czech armaments, Czech steel, Czech currency, all absorbed. Still not enough. Then Poland, then Denmark, then Norway, then the Netherlands, then Belgium, then France. Each conquest bought time. Each invasion paid off old promises with stolen wealth. Looted gold, forced labor, millions of workers who were never paid, confiscated property from families who would never return. Occupation payments extracted at gunpoint from governments that had no choice. This was not sustainable growth. This was financial cannibalism, an economy that could only survive by consuming other economies. War was no longer just ideological. It was economic. Germany didn't go to war because it was strong. It went to war because the system couldn't survive peace any longer. And once the war began, the structure fed on itself. For a while, the illusion held. The saver in Munich still had his bank book. But now, ration cards decided what he ate, not money. Black markets spread. Trust in currency disappeared. Then, year by year, the mask slipped completely. 1943. Prices are controlled, but everything real is gone. 1944. Bombing destroys the factories the invisible money built. 1945. The Reichsmark has no meaning left. People use banknotes as wallpaper. They trade cigarettes, bread, coal. The saver opens his bank book one last time. The numbers are still there. Every pfennig he ever saved, carefully recorded, neatly printed, worthless. The system succeeded at exactly one thing. It delayed collapse long enough to build an army that destroyed Europe, that killed millions, and then destroyed Germany itself. The factory manager who received that first order in 1933, he asked the right question: who is paying for this? The answer came 12 years later. Everyone paid, with their savings, with their cities, with their lives. The money was never real. The cost was.